My brother secretly destroyed my dating life for 2 years, so I blew up his engagement. Now, he's homeless and begging at my door for mercy. Roy was the type of person who believed the world owed him something just for existing. Growing up, he was mom's precious baby who could do no wrong while I was the disappointment who needed therapy after dad left. I never understood his hatred towards me though, since he got everything handed to him on a silver platter. Mom cooked his favorite meals every night, paid for his gym membership, and gave him spending money while I worked double shifts at Target to pay for community college. Then I got promoted to shift manager and moved into my own apartment. He was 23, living at home with no job, claiming he was an entrepreneur, which meant selling workout supplements to his high school buddies. On top of all that, Roy would show up at my place and make snide comments about my appearance. He'd say things like, "Guys can smell the cat lady vibes from a mile away." He'd grab my stomach and pinch the fat, saying, "This is why you're alone. Who wants to cuddle with a whale?" I tried to brush it off as sibling rivalry, but deep down his words stung. Since after months of failed relationships, I started believing maybe something really was wrong with me. My dating life was a disaster since I would meet up with a guy and watch the world burn around me as they tore me a new one. One guy took one look at me walking into Olive Garden, muttered "Jesus Christ," and walked straight back out the door. I sat there for an hour pretending to look at the menu while the hostess kept asking if my party was still coming. Another guy stood up and announced to the whole restaurant, "This psycho told me she hopes my mom dies of cancer because I drive a Honda." He showed his phone around to other tables while I sat there shaking. The messages from me called him a pathetic virgin who probably had a tiny wee-wee. The pattern continued for months and my self-esteem hit rock bottom. I stopped trying to date altogether and threw myself into work. Mom kept asking why I wasn't seeing anyone, and Roy would smirk across the dinner table saying, "Even desperate guys have standards." Everything changed when Roy got engaged to Natasha, this gorgeous blonde who came from money. Her dad owned several car dealerships and they treated Roy like he walked on water. Mom was over the moon, planning the wedding and gushing about how her baby boy had found the perfect woman. I felt like an even bigger failure watching my unemployed brother land someone successful while I couldn't even get a second date. 3 weeks before the wedding, I went to Roy's place to drop off his tux. I used his spare key and saw his laptop open on the bed. The screen showed my Hinge profile, but it wasn't my account. My hands started shaking as I clicked through the messages. Roy had created fake profiles using my photos and was messaging every single one of my matches. He told them I had herpes, warned them I was psycho, and sent them edited screenshots of racist posts I'd never made. There were spreadsheets with names, dates, and which lies he'd told to each guy. The folder was labeled Project Desperate and went back over 2 years. But the worst part was finding emails between him and my former friend Kelly, who'd been feeding him information about my matches in exchange for Roy introducing her to his gym buddies. My whole body was trembling with rage as I forwarded everything to myself. Then I saw another folder labeled Natasha Insurance, and my stomach dropped. Inside were plans to destroy Natasha's reputation if she ever tried to leave him, including photos with no clothes she'd sent him and fake evidence of her cheating. There were similar folders for 3 other girls he'd dated. I knew I had to tell Natasha, but I was terrified of ruining her life 3 weeks before her wedding. After agonizing over it for hours, I created a fake email and sent her everything. I included a message saying I was a concerned friend who discovered this information and thought she deserved to know the truth about her fiancé. The next day, all hell broke loose. Natasha called off the wedding and her dad threatened to destroy Roy if he ever contacted her again. She hired a lawyer and got a restraining order, then moved across the country to start fresh. Mom initially defended Roy, saying Natasha was overreacting and that boys will be boys, but she changed her tune when I showed her messages of Roy calling her a pathetic old hag who was too stupid to see through his act. She finally broke down and kicked him